From the Woodruff Physical Education Center on the campus of Emory University, the Eagles today begin conference play at home. It's the 58th all-time meeting between these two longtime rivals. The Eagles host the Spartans of Case Western Reserve University. And hello again, everybody. Thanks for joining us right back here on your home for Eagle Sports, Flo College. Back once again with a play-by-play story from Atlanta Sports Talk leader, The Fan, 680 and 93.7 FM. I'm Chris Mooneyham. Well, good to be back on the microphone, folks. It's been quite a while, hasn't it? Oh, the Eagles are on a fantastic roll. In some ways, the hottest team in America. 12 consecutive victories, ranked number 3 in the nation, and of course enter this affair tonight at 13-1 overall. Not just 12 straight wins, but the second longest winning streak, or tied at least for the second longest winning streak in program history. Plus, the Eagles are 3-0 in conference play for the second consecutive season. A win versus Rochester in the opener back on January 10th. Emory led by 17 with 13 minutes to go before the Jackets came storming back and cut the lead to 1 in the final minutes. But the Eagles held on. Ethan Faust had a career night, 29 points and 16 rebounds, both career highs. And he, after that performance, was tabbed as Athlete of the Week inside of the UAA, and he made the Division III, the D3Hoops.com Team of the Week. Then it was Brandeis on the 16th, an 80-71 win, again on the road. Brandeis at one point had a 15-6 lead in that ball game, behind 5 made three-pointers and 4 early Emory turnovers. But the Jackets got back into it, cut the deficit to 2 at the half. Ben Pierce and Jair Knight combined for 44 points. And the Eagles won 80-71. And then 2 days after, last Sunday, of course, a win at NYU. Never an easy place to play. 87-75 the victory. Harrison Jackson, the sophomore, comes off the bench and goes for 14 points. Best performance in his career so far in his collegiate days. We are tied at 136 to go in the first half. But then a couple of threes. The Eagles were able to pull away in a ball game where they made 13 threes in the ball game, which was a season high. So again, the Eagles at 13-1 overall, 12 straight wins, number 3 in America, and 3-0 in conference play, outscoring their opponents 93-76 per ball game. Folks, the Eagles have been absolutely dominant. I'm going to give you the following categories where the Eagles are number 1 in the conference. They're number 1 in the UAA in points per ball game and point margin, number 1 in the conference in field goal percentage as a team, number 1 in the conference in field goal percentage allowed defensively. They're number 1 in the conference in assists per ball game as a team. Number 1 in assist to turnover ratio in the conference. And number 1 in block shots as well. They're number 2 in America. Number 2 in America in assists per game, assist to turnover ratio, 4th in block shots, 9th in field goal percentage, 9th in field goal defense, 2nd in defensive rebounds, 19th in rebounds per ball game. What a start it's been for the Eagles and Jason Zimmerman, now sitting on 324 wins through his decade and a half plus in charge of the program. Coming up in just a moment, we'll take one final look at last year's UAA standings for all you new Eagle backers. Again, that just coming up in a few moments. But first, let's meet the visitors, the Clevelanders from Case Western Reserve University. Listen, to understand the story of the 2026, 25, 26 version of these guys, you got to understand what's happened to them over the last few years. In 2022, 23, and 24, these guys, and I'll talk about this in greater depth throughout the broadcast, but these guys enjoyed the greatest 3-year stretch in program history. 3 consecutive years where they made the NCAA tournament under head coach Todd McGinnis, now in his 10th year at the helm of the program. Last year was a down year. They lost a ton of talent. If you've been with the Eagles for many years, you'll remember some of these names. Mitch Prendergast, Cole Frilling, Sam Trunley, Umar Rashid, Anthony Mazzio, Colin Call. All of these guys were first team or second team all-conference performers. Prendergast was the conference player of the year. Some of these guys borderline All-Americans if they weren't All-Americans. Last year they had a drop-off. Just 9-16 overall, 5-9 in conference play. That snapped, as I mentioned, a 3-year streak of consecutive NCAA Division III national tournament berths. Well, this year, a little bit of a bounce back. The Spartans at 8-6 overall. Now, they are 0-3 in conference, but you can thank the schedule maker for that one. Spartans have started this year with Carnegie Mellon, Chicago, Washington University, and now Emory. What a tough slate to start conference play. So they've lost 3 straight. That's following a 5-game winning streak as well. They're 5-2 away from Cleveland, outscoring their opponents 81-75 per ball game this year. Now, the good for the Spartans. This is a really, really good rebounding club. They average 43 rebounds per ball game. They're number 1 in the conference in that number. They're number 1 in offensive rebounds, number 4 in defensive rebounds. So when they're missing shots, and they can be a streaky shooting club, the Spartans, when they're making shots, obviously, like most teams, they're going to be really hard to beat. But even when they're missing shots, they're getting themselves some second chances. Now, the caveat to that is, this is a club that's going to attempt, this is a gaudy number, folks, but the Spartans are attempting right now into the ball game here tonight 29 3-point attempts per ball game. 29. They're making 9.9 of them. So that'll be the 2 big storylines we'll watch in this affair today. We know that the Eagles, obviously also one of the best rebounding clubs in the conference and in America. That'll be the prevailing theme in our affair here tonight, and whether or not Todd McGinnis' squad can knock down their 3-point attempts. Last season provided a rare occurrence of one team sweeping and dominating the season series. We'll talk more about that a little bit later. Wanted to take one final look at the UAA standings of 2025 to serve as a bit of a primer for what we're about to see. Emory obviously spent the first 3 games of conference play out on the road. We didn't get into our UAA preview like we often do every year. Last year, NYU won the championship, the greatest single-season record in conference history at 13-1. I still can't believe I saw it even to this day. They won their opener last year, then lost to Emory in game number 2, won 12 straight, and the conference crown. Eagles finished at 10-4, started 3-0, beat NYU in that stretch. They split with NYU in the season series and Chicago, and they were swept by WashU. Really, it was the sweep to WashU which hurt so badly. Speaking of the Bears, they and Chicago finished at 9-5, tied for 3rd place in the conference. WashU lost their first game of conference play last year to Chicago, but then won 5 straight, then closed at 4-4. They were swept by Emory, or they swept Emory, I beg your pardon, but got swept by NYU and Chicago. And of course, WashU made it all the way to the Final Four, where they were beaten for a 3rd time by NYU. Chicago, as I mentioned, finished at 9-5, tied with WashU. What got them was losses to Case Western Reserve and Carnegie Mellon, despite the fact that they swept WashU. Brandeis and Case Western Reserve finished at 5-9 last year. Carnegie Mellon was 4-10. Rochester was 1-13. Well, what do we look like here today as we interplay inside of the UAA? Well, most people agree across the conference that Chicago, Emory, and Washington, WashU, are the 3 favorites to finish in the 1, 2, and 3 spots in the conference. Chicago is, of course, ranked number 2 in America. Emory ranked number 3. WashU ranked number 18 as we speak. Well, the Maroons and the Eagles sit at 3-0 atop the conference standings. Chicago beat WashU in their opener, and then Case Western Reserve and CMU. Emory, of course, as you all know, beat Rochester, Brandeis, NYU, all on the road. Carnegie Mellon and Brandeis, however, are the 2 teams that sit tied for 3rd place, both at 2-1. Carnegie Mellon beat Case Western Reserve, shocked WashU, more on them in a moment, then fell in a hard-fought affair at Chicago versus Chicago, I beg your pardon, all 3 games at home. Speaking of having all 3 games at home to start the year, that's the same thing for Brandeis, and they too sit at 2-1. They beat NYU in a thrilling 3-point game to start play, lost to Emory, beat Rochester, and that brings us to a couple of 1 and 2 teams. WashU is, well, the biggest storyline of the early season in the UAA, already saddled with 2 losses. Of course, it didn't help. They started with 3 straight road games, fell in the opener to Chicago, which they were handled in that ball game, by the way, then lost a heartbreaker to CMU, finally won a hard-fought, high-scoring affair versus Case Western Reserve, where they put 100 on the board. NYU's 1 and 2, and then Case Western Reserve and Rochester bring up the rear at 0-3. I'll dive into this storyline a little bit later in greater depth as we make our way through this affair. We already have 1 conference game already underway. Rochester and Carnegie Mellon are getting together tonight. And right now, Rochester, at one point, had a 16-point lead in this ball game. Their lead is down to 9 at 76-68 at home versus the Tartans with 8:07 remaining in second half play. Coming up a little bit later, Brandeis and Chicago will get together. We'll keep you updated on that. And we'll have NYU and WashU playing as well. With that, I'll bow out and allow our public address announcer to introduce the starting lineups for the Spartans and the Eagles on a Friday night, a chilly Friday night with inclement weather coming into the metro Atlanta area. Carnegie Mellon game will not take place Sunday here in Atlanta. That ball game has been moved to the end of February, Wednesday, February 25th. Wednesday, February 25th, the Eagles will host Carnegie Mellon here, the men's side anyway, at 3 p.m. It'll be a 3 forward and 2 guard set for the Eagles as always, and a 3 guard, 2 forward set for the visitors. It's Brown, Ellis, Dharmarajan, Edwards, and Vincent for the visitors in blue with a little silver trim and white letters and numerals. Eagles in the newly christened white debt will explode to the rack. Dish right, point blank to Awesome, who sends it home. A rim rocker for Mario Awasum. The Eagles back to within 1 on the opening bucket of the night for Awasum. Mario, 10 points per ball game, 9 rebounds per affair. That rebounding number is tops in the University Athletic Association. Steal, Harris, foul. You can feel the energy in the building. The prep band is here, the food trucks are out. The adult beverages as well, must be 21 years or older. The crowd is packed with students who will be trapped on campus on Sunday. They'll never get out of East Atlanta once this ice storm comes. No chance. Eagles on a 5-0 run. Tapped away, another turnover. Quick hands filling the passing lanes. 3 ball from the wing goes. That is Anand Dharmarajan, who just dropped 30 points back in December versus Kalamazoo on the day before his birthday. He averages nearly 10 points per ball game. I beg your pardon, is that 23 or 24? Well, that's 24, so I beg your pardon. That is not Dharmarajan. In fact, that is Sham Patel. No big surprise to see Patel throwing up a 3. 79% of his shots this year have come from beyond the arc. How about that number? 79%. Had 16 points on 5 threes versus Waynesburg back in November. So it's a 9-5 Spartans lead. Once again, the 58th all-time matchup between the two teams, and the previous 57 Eagles with a 35-22 advantage. The longest win streak in the series belongs to Emory. They won 11 straight from 2011 through 2016. The longest winning streak for Case Western Reserve, a 7-game affair. In the earliest days of this rivalry's history, from 1991 through 1996, the Spartans won 7 consecutive games. Now, the biggest blowout in this series came just last year. Now, last season provided a rare occurrence of one team sweeping and dominating the season series. Emory won 92-75 here in Atlanta on the first weekend of February. Eagles led by double digits at the break. Jair Knight dropped 23 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists. A week later, on February 9th in Cleveland, Emory turned in perhaps the most dominant in-conference performance of the year, and the biggest blowout in this rivalry's history, 94-53 drubbing in Cleveland. 5 Eagles placed in double-figure scoring-wise, and the good guys hit 8 of 14 from beyond the arc in second half play. They were 8 of 14. 4-point lead early for the visitors. Turnaround. Left short. Rebound cradles into the left hand of Vincent. He averages 6.5 rebounds per ball game, top 15 in the conference. Weekend number 3 of University Athletic Association play. What a ride it is for all you newbies out there on either side. If you're a Spartan backer listening to us tonight and you're brand new to conference play, you have no idea what you're going to see this year. It's going to be so much fun. Every year is so dramatic. WashU already at 1-2 in the conference. That's a surprise. Faust wide open. Got it. Ethan Faust rattles it home. 2 weeks ago, he was on the D3.com D3Hoops.com Team of the Week, Co-Conference Player of the Week as well, when he set career highs in both points and rebounds in the win over Rochester in the conference opener. Ethan went for 29 points and 16 rebounds. Steal! Second team foul, each of which have come on Edwards, and that's a big storyline in our ball game. Holy smokes. 5.5 minutes in, Ethan Edwards has checked out of the ball game. He's their leading scorer. The Brooklyn, New York native, the grad transfer out of Brandeis, had a monster, and I mean a monster ball game earlier in the year, where in a win over La Roche University, he went for a career-high 38 points and a program record 9 three-pointers. He's now checked out of the ball game. That's a big, big development in our affair here tonight. Eagles have never led. Swatted away at close range by Vincent. 13 on the shot clock. Eagles retain possession. Yeah, if you've been an Eagles fan for a while, a family member for a while, you saw one of those great three-point days in their history. Awasam for the lead. He's got it. For the first time tonight at 13:40 of first half play, the Eagles nab their first lead of the affair at 10-9. Uh-oh, step back three. Had Jair on skates. Got a friendly home roll on that one. Here comes the Jet. Case does a good job of getting back. Jet goes slithering through traffic. Can't hit the shot. Still on the deck. Jair comes out with it. Still rattling around down there. A mass of humanity at the free throw line. And a jump ball call in favor of the Eagles. The old automated arrow pointed to this end. Yeah, if you've been with the Eagles for some time, many of you may remember the performance that Sam Trunley put on the Eagles back in 2024 when he knocked down 8 three-pointers, which tied the great Mitch Prendergast for most threes made in a ball game. Through traffic, should have been a foul. Knight was slapped on the forearm. He still was able to knock home his opening bucket of the ball game, put him on the scorecard, and give Emory a three-point lead. You could hear the slap from up here. I'm not one to criticize officials. They've actually got the hardest job out there on the floor, by the way. But that was an egregious missed call. Three ball, up and in. What a shot there by Anistis Haji Stamalu. Haji Stamalu. I beg your pardon, young man. First time I've had the good opportunity to call his name. The Glenview, Illinois native, a freshman guard at 6'1", 175. 74% of his shots come from deep. Meanwhile, back on the offensive end for the Eagles, Harris Jackson, who checked in a few moments ago, is headed to the free throw line. 65% from the charity stripe so far this year. How about Harris's performance against NYU last weekend? Went for 14 points, a career high. His minutes continue to tick up. He's up to 15 minutes per ball game now. He'll add to that here tonight. 5 points per ball game, 2.5 rebounds. Thomasville, Georgia native, sophomore. Looking for a 2-for-2 trip, and he's got it. That'll push up that 65% free throw shot number. And the Eagles to a 2-point lead. Dharmarajan just had the rock in his hand. He checked in on the last dead ball. Picked up in the paint by Andrew Fox. Tries to dish it off. And a whistle comes. Oh, they've lost a lot of talent over the last few years, has Case Western Reserve. Again, some of these numbers. And Prendergast, for instance, now he's been gone for a couple of years, but he was the conference player of the year. Cole Frilling. Sam Trunley's last season, just passed by us. Umar Rashid Rashid was a local product, played his ball at the prep ranks in the North Metro Atlanta area. Anthony Mazzio, a good player. Colin Call was a first-team all-conference performer, if memory serves. Boy, they had some really good teams for that 3-year stretch of 22 through 24. No call. It's the kind of game that Case Western Reserve wants. They want a physical affair where the men in stripes swallow the whistle. As always, the Eagles want to get up and down the floor. They want to run from their half-court offense to set up this. 3-ball opportunities. Oh, a great follow. Rejection at the rack, but they'll call the goaltend on Owassum. So Patel will get the bucket. He's on a quick 6. In fact, he leads all scorers in the ball game. Sean Patel. Patel, a Sugar Land, Texas native. Another freshman on this roster. "12 members of this roster, at least the main roster, the traveling group, 12 which are sophomores or freshmen." Todd McGinnis' squad rebuilding a little bit here in 2025-26. And in 22, they set a program record with 20 wins overall, 8 inside of the conference, a second-place finish in the UAA. And that was the first time they placed higher than 4th in the conference, and they go way back in this conference. Finished 12th in the final top 25 poll, first ever appearance in the final poll. In 23, they set another program record with 22 wins, and their first UAA championship in program history, went 11-3. And then 2 years ago, they reached all the way up to number 2 in the national poll. Shared the conference championship with NYU at 10-4. 2 full games ahead of WashU and CMU. If you're wondering, by the way, and you weren't here for it, 2 years ago, that was the year the Eagles lost the 8 games in conference, 6 of which were by 1 possession. So the Eagles were nowhere to be seen. And that year, they set yet another school record for wins. Finished at 23-5 and made it all the way to the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament. Last year, after losing all that talent slowly throughout the years, Pierce, a deep 3. Front iron, no good. And it kicks out of bounds. We'll head back the other way. Not sure about that call. They're asking for a replay. And we'll get it. Uh-oh. Zimmerman hot. Careful, Z. Coach Z is barking at the official over here on the sidelines where the play was right down in front of him. Now, he's not angry about what he perceives to be a missed call. He's angry that instantly the replay wasn't asked for. And remember, of course, that is one of the new rules now at the Division III ranks. We can now get a look at the replay. They're going to be going back and watching our feed as we speak and getting a look at how the play unfolded. One of 3 major rule changes, or at least tweaks, at the Division III ranks. It's a coach's challenge. Coach Z can now initiate an instant replay review on out-of-bounds calls, basket interference, restricted area arc plays. Now, since he called for the replay, if coach is successful, he'll be able to keep a challenge, receive an additional challenge, another way of putting it, for the remainder of the ball game. Spartans by 1, 15-14, 11:39 mark of the first half. Continuing the bio on the Spartans and wrapping that up now, as I always like to do, educate our home viewers out there. Spartans took a step back last year, 9-16, 5-9 in conference. Finished in, let's see, where were they in the conference? Next to last, I think. They were 5 and 9, so Carnegie Mellon and Rochester, yes. Carnegie Mellon and Rochester finished below them. Eagles win the challenge and get possession. So glad we sorted it out. 20-second shot clock after the challenge. Jackson makes a move on Patel. Gets sealed out on the baseline. Oh, great bounce pass. Right down underneath, up, no good. Bunny is left a little strong there by Eli Faust, who checked in. The 1,000-point prep scorer. Ethan's little brother, of course, St. Louis, Missouri native. Oh, picked up his dribble. Turn around as he was left unguarded. Holy smokes. Haji Stamula knocks home the free throw line follow-away jumper. Spartans by 3. Kick out. Faust to Faust. Bringing down the house. Something tells me that's not the first time they've done that. $17 apiece. Ethan to 6. Here comes the Jet. Benny weaving through traffic. Dish out. Work around. The Knight. Front iron and no good. Last touch by Harris, and we'll head back the other way. Oh! Wait a minute. Well, the official on baseline here asked for help from that far official you can see on your screen there, who's at the top of the screen by McGinnis. After he asked for help, he pointed and said, white ball. As soon as he did that, the official he asked for help on the top side was pointing down to the other end, saying it was Case Western Reserve's ball. So now they're going to bring it over here to the side and take another look. Eagles 13-1 on the campaign. 12 consecutive wins, number 3 in America. We have our first final score of the weekend inside of conference play, which I'll have to grab for you apparently here in just a few moments. Give me one moment here. This is not loading, of course. We're all at the mercy of technology. The ball game between Carnegie Mellon and Rochester has gone final. What a big win this could be for Rochester if they were able to hold on to it, and they did. 96-82. Rochester with the victory over Carnegie Mellon. How about that? So Rochester now 1-3 in conference. That is a tough loss for the Tartans of Pittsburgh. Carnegie Mellon now 2-2 in conference play. If you're the Tartans and you fancy yourself as a potential tournament team, you see, that's the thing. The bottom of the conference every year is going to jump up and grab somebody. Traditionally in the UAA with an 8-team league, what we'll have is 2 or 3 top flight teams. Sometimes 4, sometimes only 2, but generally on average about 3. And then you'll have a middle of the pack of about 3 teams, right? And usually 2, I don't mean this disrespectfully, but bottom feeders, for lack of a better phrase, right? 2 teams that have a tough year and they just finish at the bottom of the conference with relative ease. What you cannot do if you want to be a champion in this conference or be, say, the 3rd or 4th team out of the conference and make it to the NCAA tournament, you got to win the games that you're supposed to win. Dribbled off the foot of Hall. He'll get it over to Faust, a 3. Not this time. Save back in bounds, and the Spartans have it in a 17-17 game as we hit the midway point of first half play here in Atlanta. No big surprise, a tight affair between the Spartans and the Eagles. Haji Stamlu, not this time. Rattled around on baseline, last touch by Vincent. It's Haji Stamlu checking out. Ethan Edwards is back into the ball game. This is the kid I was telling you about earlier in the ball game. Had 38 points and 9 made three-pointers. Also 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals against LaRoche back in December. Career high in points, sure, but program high in 3 balls made. He's a Brandeis transfer. How good would Brandeis be if they hadn't lost those 2 transfers in the offseason? Hall comes flying in, has the rebound, jump ball's the call, and unfortunately we'll head back the other way. That's my main beef with the automated arrow. Spencer had possession of that basketball far longer than Vincent's interference. But we head back the other way. So again, it's Haji Stamalu, joined by Vincent and Fox on the interior. They're battling around as we speak. They're joined by Ellis and Patel on the perimeter. The Eagles will head back down to the offensive end with Pierce and Knight and Hall, Harris and Faust. Knight will put it up. Side iron and no good. Patel the rebound. Ethan Edwards, by the way, one of my favorite visitors to see every year. You know how when you read the bios on these athletic websites and it asks them, you know, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? What's your favorite movie? What do you want to be when you grow up? What's your favorite place to travel? You know, things like that. Well, as soon as I saw Edwards' name on the roster for Case Western Reserve, I said, wait a minute, I know this guy's name. As I started doing my research, but I didn't remember him from Case Western Reserve. I remembered him because, again, he's a grad transfer from Brandeis. 64 appearances at Brandeis with 13 starts, by the way. Averaged 9.6 points per ball game last year. And, in fact, for the week of January 9th at Brandeis, he was the player of the week in the conference. But Edwards was asked, when they were filling out those bios, what's your favorite place to travel to? He back irons a 3 here. And when Edwards was asked, what's your favorite place to travel to, his answer was Chick-fil-A. I love it. Not, you know, Italy or England or California. He said Chick-fil-A. Well, he's got to be in heaven here today. Of course, Chick-fil-A. Atlanta, the Chick-fil-A capital. Matthew Ellis hit with a foul. That's the team's 4th at 8:23 remaining. We'll see if that becomes a storyline. Ellis, a good player, by the way, 12 in blue. Change for Emory. Spencer Hall out. Mario Owasum in. By the way, if you haven't seen a ton of the Eagles so far this year, Mario Owasum is off to an amazing start to his sophomore year. He is really becoming the player that Coach Z told me at preseason last year that he could become. 3 ball from the wing. Got it. Ethan Faust puts it back in the holster and says thanks for the 3. Emory ties their largest lead of the ball game. He's on 9. If Ethan Faust, by the way, starts finding his long-range shot, the University Athletic Association going to be in big trouble. He comes away with a block here. Here comes the Dark Knight. Jair through traffic, lost his dribble. Oh, baby, he was thinking about the highlight reel. You know that. Dribble drive, left it short. Ellis wanted contact. Yeah, the officials letting them play here in this one. Neither Todd McGinnis, and McGinnis has either just been hit with a warning or a technical. You can see the official trying to walk away from him so as to not tee up the 10-year veteran. But neither Todd McGinnis nor Jason Zimmerman is happy with the officiating right now. In fact, I think Jason Zimmerman was walking over there to have a word with the official. Then he realized that Todd McGinnis was taking care of it for him. And so Z just turned around and walked off and left him alone. TV timeout, 7:35 here in Atlanta. 3-point Emory lead. Eagles sitting on the second longest, tied at least for the second longest win streak in program history at 12. Now 13-1 on the campaign. The longest winning streak, if you're wondering, in Emory history. You got to go all the way back to 1989-90 season when the Eagles won 17 straight. 17 straight in the 89-90 season. They won the conference championship that year, part of back-to-back championships, as a matter of fact. Up and in. In fact, those were I believe, the first two championships. Yeah, the first two championships for the Eagles in conference play. 5-point lead, the biggest for the Eagles in this one. Patel, sealed out, give off, spin move in the paint. This is Vincent, and he hits. Hey, Alex Vincent has been very good here in this one so far. You see why he's shooting 59% from the field. Had a double-double versus Trinity of Texas, pretty good team earlier in the year. Harris, A.J. Harris, the California Rifleman, knocks one home. His opening points of the evening. And just like that, the Eagles now with a 25-19 lead. It's an 11-2 Eagles run. Patel, shot altered by Awasam, and he's hit with a foul. Holy smokes. Well, again, I don't want to sound like I'm criticizing the the officials, but that call was made by the furthest official, up the court, out of the play, with an official who was on baseline right on top of the play. And he didn't make the call until after the shot was well off the mark, not when the contact came. You know, see, I say this all the time for those of you that don't listen a lot. I do a lot of coaching. I think like a coach. I sometimes, to the detriment of my friends and family, I behave like a coach, if you know what I mean. This is what coaches, what gets in their crawl is when the call's not made instantly. When a penalty or a foul is not called instantly, because then it's almost as though you had too much time to think about it. And I'm not even telling you it wasn't the right call, by the way. There was certainly a good bit of contact on that play. Knight got caught in between and gave it off the fouls. The Rifleman, not this time. Rebound pulled away by Andrew Fox. He'll do that. He averages 6.8 rebounds per ball game. That's tops on the club, the Pennsylvanian. He's a senior forward at 6'9", 235, talking about 44 in blue with his back towards the screen. He's got it at the top of the key. Gives off to Ellis. Matthew going to drive in, hit baseline. Now the deep kick out. He's got it back. Under 10 on the shot clock. Drive to the rack. Shot blocked by Fouls. Oh, what a move. Crossover. Jair, foul. Jair Knight. 18.8 points per ball game, 4th in the conference. 6 rebounds, 15th in the conference per ball game. 2.5 assists. 6th in the conference in field goal percentage, by the way. At .503. 71% this year from the nail. 2 steals from 4th place all time, 5 assists from 16th place all time. 4 rebounds from 11th all time. Jair 10 points from 6th all time. He's now on 6. 1 free throw made, and now he's 8th place all time. He's only 8 free throws away, or make it 6 now, from 7th. Both he and Benjamin Pierce going to have a chance to move up the all-time leaderboards in numerous categories here this evening. I'll have an updated number on that for you coming back from the half. Look out. Here come the Eagles on a break. Pierce has his shot altered. Jair follows and is fouled. Jair now 4 points shy of 6th place all time. He's closing in on the great Roman Williams, who was here when I started my broadcasting days. I just put the jinx on him. Sorry, sir. Roman Williams, for those of you that weren't here, one of the quickest players you'd ever see. A three-ball magician. One of the earliest games I called as the voice of the Eagles. Roman had a 7 3-point game, I think. Made 3 game. Rejected. Awesome. Roman's final year here for the Eagles, the 21-22 season. He had kind of a funny career, by the way. Roman came in and looked as though he's going to be this really dominant force and did have 3 really great years, but really slowed up there towards the end. Concentrated more on his studies. Left-handed floater. No good there for Fox. Offensive board. Kick out Patel. Dharmarajan. Yes, that's Dharmarajan who can't hit the 3. Eagles all of a sudden with an 8-point lead. The Knight steps in. Kick back out to Benny. The jet. The dish. It's a Wassum. Kick out. A little bit of a helter-skelter pace here. No good. Last touch by Faust. We got to go back the other way. Official still thinking about it, but that's the right call. And our first look at Julian Scott, Rochester, Michigan native, junior guard, 5 at the top of your screen. Ellis drives right in. He's sent away by a foul. So tough to get into the trees here on the Eagles and come away clean. Scott, number 5 in blue, 5.3 points per ball game, 4.5 rebounds. Actually leads their team in assists per ball game at 2.6. He's 12th in the conference coming off the bench. Leads the team in steals as well. Transfer out of Colgate. 2 on the shot clock. Fall away 3. A little too strong. Didn't grab the rim. So that's a shot clock violation, and we'll head back the other way. That dead ball at 3:56. Remaining first half takes us to our final TV timeout of first half play. It's Eagles 28, Spartans 20 on Flo College. Jair Knight 1 rebound shy of moving into the top 11 all-time in program history. Jair Knight 1 rebound shy of moving into 11th place, a tie in program history. He's 3 points away from tying Roman Williams, as I mentioned a moment ago, former Eagle great, in 6th place all-time in scoring. Scott picked up his dribble, had to get rid of it, chased down by Ellis. Weaving through traffic. Oh, look at that play by Owassum. Wait a minute now. Boy, I'll tell you what, I must have missed it. I thought Owassum snatched that one out of midair and forced it off of the man in blue. We'll trust the officials. They were right down on top of it. Logan Brown with the drive and the dish. 2 on the shot clock. He just now realizes it, throws up a prayer, and another shot clock violation. The Eagles defense is absolutely clamping down on those Spartans, causing a shot clock violation on an errant shot in the waning moments of the shot clock, twice in a 3-possession span. And now with a bucket, can push their lead to double figures. Knight left it short. Scott the rebound. Here comes a Colgate transfer. Julian Scott. Oh, stepped out of bounds. There's our 1 per ball game. Usually it's down here on this sideline, near side sideline. Bit of a rarity to get one up top, but we'll get one just about once a ball game. And if we don't get one, then you know we'll have 2 in the next one. It's just the strangest thing. Now, 5th turnover for the Eagles, but they had 3 in the opening couple of minutes of the ball game, so we'll take that crooked number and accept it. Again, I think the Eagles had 3 turnovers in their first, 5 possessions of the ball game? Now with just 2 since. That's been a big storyline for the Spartans this year as well, and they're all the way up to 9 now. They're one of the worst turnover teams in the conference. It's been part of what's really held them back this year. A wing 3, spins in, reads the article, and decides to come back out. AJ will try it again, and this time hit it. The Rifleman drops home the 3. His second made 3 of the ball game. In fact, both of his made buckets have come from beyond the arc. He's on 6, and the Eagles now lead by 11, 31-20, with 95 seconds remaining in the opening half. Uh-oh. Not this time. Can't leave that guy that open. Patel shoots 80% of his shots from beyond the arc. Tapped away and saved by Awasam. Here comes the Knight. Jair goes, oh, baby! Jair with his back completely turned to the bucket, went left hand to right hand and laid it off the glass and in to give Emory a 13-point lead. Just gliding through the air, didn't even see the rim. Little baby bucket there for Vincent to answer. Oh, great look. Knight slides to a stop, has it tapped away from behind. Benjamin, a wide open 3. Oh, baby, that one went offside iron and came out. That one a centimeter from going down from our vantage point here. I'm off to the left of the camera, high above the court. That one looked like it was absolutely going in. Edwards, free throw line jumper goes. Ethan Edwards, who's off to a slow start here tonight. Now 1 of 6 from the floor with an assist and 2 steals in just 12 minutes worth of work. Remember, he caught his second personal foul just minutes into the ball game and had to come out 5.5 minutes into the ball game, as a matter of fact. Speaking of time, we're down to the final 10 seconds of first half play. Pierce a floater, got it. Spartans with time, here's a heave, and it's no good to bring us to the halftime break. The Eagles turn up the defensive intensity and turn around the ball game after a tight start to this affair through the first 10 minutes of the ball game. They use the defense to clamp down and push out to an 11-point, 35-24 lead at the halftime break here in Atlanta on Flo College. Back at the building officially known as the Woodpeck, the Woodruff Physical Education Center on the campus of Emory University. On a Friday evening in Atlanta, want to remind you all to come on down and see us for the other Friday games we will have here on campus. Food trucks, some free food. We're selling jerseys, t-shirts, pullovers. Obviously, it's wintertime after all. Adult beverages downstairs, giveaways of all sorts. Come on out to the Woodpeck and see us for all of our Friday night games inside of University Athletic Association play. I'm Chris Mooneyham from the Fan 680 and 93.7 FM, Atlanta Sports Talk Leader. Thanks for tuning in for another Friday night of Eagles basketball. About 5 minutes or so until second half tip-off, where the Eagles lead the Spartans in the 58th meeting between Case Western Reserve University and Emory University by an 11-point 35-24 lead. At the 7:12 mark remaining in first half play, 7:12 remaining in first half play, the Eagles led 22-19. Of course, their largest deficit of the ball game was 6 at 17:40, so just minutes into the affair. And they trailed 17-14, the Eagles did. But in the last 7:12 of first half play, the Eagles outscored the Spartans 13-5. One big reason why. Well, the storyline we've seen all year out of these Eagles, their incredible field goal defense. They have held Case Western Reserve to just 10 of 35 from the field. Don't worry, I'll do the math for you. That's just shy of 29% on the shooting percentage, 28.6 to be precise. And we told you two of the big storylines coming into this one. The three-point shot for the Spartans. They averaged 29 three-point attempts per ball game and make 9.9 per affair. Well, tonight, they're just 2 of 13 from beyond the arc. That, of course, stands to reason because the Eagles are, after all, one of the best teams, not just in the UAA, number 2 in the conference, in three-point defense, but also one of the best three-point defensive teams in America at number 14. So the Eagles are winning that crucial battle. The other big crucial battle is for Case Western Reserve to get second chances on offensive rebounds. We told you at the outset, they're the number 1 rebounding team as far as pure volume is concerned in the University Athletic Association, 43 rebounds, 11 rebounds. Now, on the defensive end, though, for Emory, which of course is the Spartans' offensive end, the Eagles are winning that battle 13-11. So, we'll call it, let's say, 2-1 in favor of the Eagles in those 3 crucial spots. Well, actually, let me add another one to it, by the way. I totally forgot. We have to look at the turnover number. That's been another big bugaboo for these guys this year, the Spartans. They're 6th in the conference at 13 turnovers per ball game. They have the same turnover to assist ratio. So they only average 13 assists per ball game so far this year, and they average 13 turnovers as well. So a 1-to-1 assist to turnover margin, not great, especially when you want to be a winning team, especially when you play in a great conference like the UAA. That's just not a number that the Spartans can continue to have throughout this year and have sustained success, I beg your pardon. So now your next question is, well, Chris, how many turnovers do they have at the half? The Spartans already have 10 in this affair. All right, so let's take a look at the numbers. Alex Vincent leads his club in rebounding and points, 8 points, 7 rebounds, leads the Spartans. Meanwhile, for the Eagles, Mario Awasam with 5 rebounds leads the club. Tied for the team lead in assists with 4 with Benjamin Pierce, no big surprise. A.J. Harris leads the team in steals with 3, and your 2 leading scorers for the Eagles and in the ball game, Ethan Faust and Jair Knight with 9 points apiece. The Eagles, 12 of 35 from the floor, 34%. 6 of 17, however, from beyond the arc, 35%. 5 of 6 from the charity stripe, 83%. And again, Case Western Reserve, 10 of 35 from the floor, 29%. 3-point percentage, 2 of 13, just 15%. And they're 2 of 4 from the stripe. Already one final score inside of conference play here tonight. Rochester at home took down Carnegie Mellon. That's a massive win for the Jackets. If Rochester wants to get out of the cellar in the UAA, Carnegie Mellon falls to 2-2 in conference play. Rochester now notches their first win in conference play. Tamiwa Adatasoye goes for 19 points for the winners. Nikola Dimitrievich goes for 20 for the Tartans. Meanwhile, Brandeis versus Chicago, I beg your pardon, and NYU versus WashU about to get underway. The starting lineups for both of those teams being introduced as we speak. And of course, if you're watching this and you're an Eagle backer, you're absolutely, positively pulling for Brandeis and NYU tonight. Most experts at the start of the season said that this is a three-team race for the conference championship between Emory, Chicago, and WashU. We'll see if that's true once we get to the end of the season. And of course, oh, by the way, don't forget that as the schedule unfolds here in Atlanta, the Eagles will have WashU and Chicago on back-to-back weekends for the 4 games they will play versus each other. We'll talk more about the schedule coming up a little bit later during the broadcast. Spartans with the opening salvo of second half play. And here's our first whistle. Eagles haven't lost a game since November 15th. How about that number? Their lone blemish, a 90-78 loss to Trinity of Texas. Ethan Faust gets the home roll. Great first half for Faust. He now has 11 points in the ball game, 4 of 10 shooting, 3 of 6 from beyond the arc, 4 rebounds, and 3 blocks for Ethan. Again, I mentioned it earlier, when he's hitting his outside shot, dude is basically unguardable. Edwards explodes to the rack and is fouled by Knight. Yeah, the Eagles have won 12 straight, tied for the second longest win streak in program history. Only a 17-game winning streak way back in 1990, longer. Ethan Edwards can't rattle home the first. He's a 69% free throw shooter. Made 64 appearances and 13 starts for the Judges of Brandeis. Over the last 4 years, Brooklyn, New York native, hits the second. Brandeis had a couple of really key transfers who spent some time in their program move out in the offseason. They've gotten off to a fair start. If they had those two guys, they'd be cooking with gas. Shot altered there by Logan Brown. It's funny, this Case team, I mean, Logan Brown is coming off the bench, and he averages 8.2 rebounds per ball game, which is number 3 in the conference. They also have Julian Scott coming off the bench, and he's their leading steal man and assist man per ball game. So McGinnis has got quite the rotation going right now with his club. Ellis, a floater, off glass and in. Oh, that was gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous from the sophomore guard, the Ohio native. Played his prep ball at St. Ignatius. Another one goes home. Edwards looks into the crowd and has some words for some fans. It says, keep talking. He's up to 7, and the lead has been pilfered all the way down to 4. Another one that doesn't fall. Edwards to the line. Boy, Ethan on a heat check right now. It's a 9-2 run for the Spartans to start second half play. Make it 10-2. Edwards now on 8. 2 for 3 at the charity stripe. A.J. Harris checks out, and Harris Jackson takes his spot. The run continues, and we're all the way down to a 1-point game. Make it a 2-point game, I beg your pardon. 37-35. 3 minutes into the second half. Knight left it short with some contact. Ellis. Sealed out on sideline. Oh, they called the foul on Faust? No, they gave the timeout to Ellis. I beg your pardon. So timeout called at 16:40. They will not call this. So will this be a TV timeout? They're not going to let him use it as a TV timeout. I do not believe. Well, quite the run to start the second half for the Spartans, but if you've been here for any of the 58 matchups between these two teams, it's not a surprise. Last year I mentioned the Eagles with a couple of blowouts, and that really was sort of an anomaly in the modern era of this rivalry. Things were quite different back in the old days of the UAA with these two teams. They would go in and out of contention, but for the most part, the Eagles and the Spartans were middle of the pack, floating to the bottom of the pack type teams in the conference. But a ton of close games, even if one team had a long winning streak over the other. Last year, the two blowout victories for the Eagles were fairly anomalous. Dharma Rajan to key it in. Dharma Rajan, the kid I told you about in the first half, who on December 30th dropped 30 points versus Kalamazoo, a career high in his collegiate days. The kicker is he got to celebrate it that night and then woke up the next day on his birthday. So on the day before his birthday, he had a career high in points. He's a St. Louis, Missouri native, played his prep ball, 23 with the ball in his hand at John Burroughs. John Burroughs, the home of another shot clock violation, indeed. We're heading back the other way. Third shot clock violation of the ball game tonight for Case Western Reserve. Dharma Rajan, 23 in blue, he played his prep ball at John Burroughs. John Burroughs, very well-known high school in the Midwest, especially for their actors and entertainers, of which I know a little bit about, for those of you that know my personal story. John Hamm, Debbie Reynolds, Ron Howard, just to name a few of their famous performing alum. Yes, I've spent some time in front of a camera and on stage. What a battle this has been tonight. Oh, and he'll give it off. Left it short. One of the greatest aspects of this ball game tonight has been Alex Vincent and his big-bodied 6'10", 250-pound frame taking on the long Mario Owasim at 6'6", 200. That dead ball brings us to the under-16 TV timeout in Atlanta. The tenor has changed. The Spartans on a second-half run in a 2-point ball game. In the last 5.5 minutes of gameplay, going all the way back to the first half, in the last 5.5 minutes of gameplay, the Spartans, once trailing 33-20, now on a 15-4 run. And they're right back in it. Spartans 4 of 7 from the floor in second half play. Eagles 1 of 7 in second half play. Ellis splits 2 defenders, gives off to Edwards. He'll do the same. This is Dharmarajan, a wing 3. Would have given his club the lead. Still loose, and here comes the Jet. Lead ahead. Jackson, the catch and the lay-in. Harris Jackson, who had 14 points, a career high versus NYU just last weekend. He's drawn his second bucket make of this ball game. He sits on 4, and so does the Eagles' lead. Oh, beautiful little baby hook there by Vincent. That'll push him to double figures on 10. Back to a 2-point game. Look out. Yes. Harris Jackson starting to find his confidence and his shooting stroke at the collegiate level. The sophomore to 7. Jackson played just 60 minutes total last year and only attempted 17 field goals. Little left-handed floater finds a home for Logan Brown, who averages 6 points per ball game. Glen Ellen, Illinois native, played his prep ball at Glenbard West. Well-known athletic program. Owasum. Trapped, lost it, picks it up, still in the trees, look out. Yes! Jackson brings the crowd to their feet. Harris with a quick 8 in the second half. And the Eagles are back up by 6. They give Edwards the deuce. He wanted the foul as well. I'll tell you, I don't ever remember seeing Edwards this demonstrative. In the previous 4 years, we saw him with the judges of Waltham, Mass. Or Waltham, if you prefer. I was up in Boston in the fall. For those of you that don't know, I also work for Georgia Tech on their basketball network and their football network as well. I do sidelines for the football team. We played Boston College this year. So we were up in Boston. Here comes Jackson. Got a 3-on-2, give off to the Knight. Jair can't get the friendly roll. Goes for a third opportunity, a fourth. Still can't get it. Still chasing it around. It'll go out of bounds, and it's blue. Oh, Emory ball. So we went to do a little sightseeing up in Boston. Had to take the Uber, you know. And with traffic, they brought us down by Brandeis. We will see the judges here in Atlanta on February 13th. February 13th. Spencer Hall. Drive and dish. Fouls a 3. Front iron no good. Jackson had the rebound, or he was lined up for it. 13-minute mark. Eagles getting everything they can handle from the Spartans. Automated arrow? Indeed. We'll head back the other way. Want to make sure to mention this a few times tonight, and I'll remind you at the end of our broadcast, our Sunday game here in Atlanta, a planned affair between the Eagles and the Tartans of Carnegie Mellon, the men from Pittsburgh, postponed due to the inclement weather that's rolling into Atlanta. Benjamin Pierce, the Jet, goes gliding through the air to grab points number 6 and 7 on his night. Pierce, number 1 in the conference in points per ball game, number 13 in America. He's number 1 in the country in assists per game. Rebound to Fox. Kick out, Ellis a three. Not this time. Fox gets tied up with Ethan Faust. And we'll stay on this end this time. Due to the ice storm impending coming into Atlanta, and this is going to be a real deal, we may get a full inch of ice, which, of course, everyone likes to poke fun at Metro Atlanta for our behavior during snowstorms. This will be no joke. If New York City got hit with an inch of ice, it would be a big deal. So we're in for quite the affair beginning on Saturday night and into Sunday. And so for that reason, the powers that be, the new head man at CMU, and Jason Zimmerman and the UAA decided together in a conference call that it'd be best if they reschedule the ball game. So the Tartans will not be coming in tomorrow. Instead, that ball game has been rescheduled for Wednesday, February 25th at 3 p.m. Wednesday, February 25th at 3 p.m. Jair can't get the friendly roll. Two-possession game. That'll be great, though, if you ask me. Eagles will get to close down the conference with 2 consecutive games at home. That'll help any team that fancies themselves as a potential conference champion. Rebound by Brown, no big surprise. He does that, leads his team in rebounds. Now he'll put up a 3 and hit it. Logan Brown brings the Spartans back to within 1 at 47-46. He's on 7 points in the ball game. Haverford College transfer. Spent 2 years there, made 40 appearances. Up and in. Spencer Hall answers. Opening points of the night for the Minnesotan. Spencer had a good year. 5 points per ball game, 3 rebounds, and assist as well. Shoots 54% from the floor. All this after averaging just 11 minutes per ball game last year. Fox has it tapped away from behind. Still loose, gets it back. Now has it swiped from the side by Faust. He was the last man to touch it, and we'll stay on this end. 4 on the shot clock, by the way. 4 on the shot clock. And Todd McGinnis has called a timeout. Now, wait a minute. Yeah, I believe McGinnis has called the timeout. Well, the Eagles fancy themselves as a conference champion. And I promise you, I mean no disrespect when I say this. I don't think the Spartans will be that this year. Can they be a middle of the pack team? Can they get to 4th in the conference? Perhaps. 5th? Sure, absolutely. Are they a 6th place team? I don't know that they'll fall that far. It'll be close. But every year, my reason for bringing that up is, every year the championship contenders are separated not just by what they do against each other, and frankly, you got to win 3 out of 4 if you have 3 teams that are believed to be at the top of the conference. And if that's the case this year with Emory, WashU, and Chicago, if you're the Eagles, you'd love to go 3-1 versus those other 2 teams. But the thing you can't afford is too many losses, certainly to the bottom 2 teams in the conference, because again, traditionally we have 2 at the bottom, 3 in the middle, and 3 at the top, right? They kind of separate themselves in packs. And if you want to be a conference champion, you cannot give too many games away in this conference. Look, Chicago would have been an 11-win team last year if they had not stumbled against a couple of teams that they may have been better than. And certainly that was the case also for WashU in that they didn't necessarily perform very well against NYU and Chicago and one other team. Of course, they swept the Eagles, so these are the type of ball games that you have to grit and get gutty and take advantage of in the conference. Another opportunity. Ball still loose, and A.J. Harris comes out of the pack with it. Kick out. Faust will take a shorter one. Spartans can tie with a 3. Step back. Left it short. Eagles just 6 of 18 shooting the basketball in the second half. In fact, they've not shot the ball well in totality here tonight, frankly. Big guy back down. Oh, he put it up too strong. Big long rebound save. A three from Edwards is no good. It's still in the air. Another offensive board. Shot clock reset to 20. Here's the kick out. Edwards, a drive. He wanted the foul call. No whistle. And we'll head back the other way at 9.5 remaining in the ball game. Got it. Boy, the Eagles needed that in the worst way. Ethan Faust has knocked home another three. He's on 14. That's his fourth three-ball make of the ball game. In fact, he's 4 of 8 from beyond the arc. Only the third make in the second make in second half play for the Eagles. And it doubles their lead. Survive and advance. Doesn't matter if it's pretty, just get the win. Edwards, 3 free throws. This guy. Spencer Hall hit on the foul. It'll be his second, team's third. All of a sudden, by the way, Case Western Reserve now has a 14 rebound advantage in this ball game. I'll say it again. Case Western Reserve now has a rebound advantage of plus 11. Math, you know. Plus 11. 42 to 31 the rebounding edge in this one now. So they are plus 8 in the second half. And that's how they've gotten back into this one. No doubt about it. Edwards going to have a chance at the rare trifecta. Statistically, he's bound to miss this one. He's 69% from the nail so far this year. Eagles well below their scoring pace, but you knew that those numbers would drop once we got into conference play on the whole. As familiar as these teams are with each other. Oh, nearly a steal. I'll say that Edwards touched it last. Pierce surveys at the top. 10 on the shot clock. He'll drive on Edwards. Go baseline. Wants a kick out. Oh, they'll say he stepped out of bounds. Boy, I'm going to tell you what, I have a tough time believing that. That doesn't compute. Knight gets tied up again. The automated arrow will keep us on this end. Faust with 14, Knight with 9. Oh, Harris Jackson with 10, I beg your pardon. Faust on 14, Jackson with 10, Knight with 9. Been a slow night. Quiet night, scoring-wise, for Benjamin Pierce. And A.J. Harris, for that matter, as he heads to the line. 6 points on 2 of 5 shooting. His first free throw's coming up, but A.J.'s been active and done a little bit of everything else with 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 steals. Meanwhile, Benjamin Pierce, just 3 of 10 from the floor, but 7 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals. It's been a Spartans rally to get back into this one. They've cut what was once a 33-20 Eagles lead, the largest lead for either team, with just 1:15 remaining in first half play, all the way down to a 3-point lead, although the Eagles have kept the Spartans maybe not at arm's length, but certainly at forearm's length. A.J. Harris with some big free throws here. Front irons the first. His first free throw opportunity of the ball game. What a season it's been for A.J. Nearly 10 points per ball game, nearly 5 rebounds, 2.5 assists per affair. He's number 11 in the conference in assists per ball game. Oh gosh, an 0 for 2 trip. Oh my. A.J., by the way, also number 3 in the conference in steals per ball game. A.J. Harris averaging 1.8 steals per ball game, 3rd in the UAA. Corner 3 blocked. Saved by Awasam. He couldn't keep his balance or find anybody to pass it to, so. Of course, it would have been Spartans basketball anyway. .20-second shot clock. Errant pass. Who can chase it down? The Jet. Benjamin fouled. So no ball game tomorrow, on Sunday. And then comes the 2 biggest weekends of the year in conference play for the Eagles. We'll still have a good ways to go after the next 2 weekends. The Eagles will have 6 games to play after the next 2 weekends. But there is no question, as Benjamin front irons the first, 3 straight free throws missed by the Eagles. Can't do that if you're going to stave off the upset. There is no question as the Eagles will take on Washington University and the University of Chicago in back-to-back weekends, first on the road and then at home, that those 4 ball games consecutively will certainly tell the tale of the conference championship, you would imagine. Again, we'll still have 6 games to play after those 4, but if the Eagles stumble over that 4-game stretch, they'll be playing catch-up the rest of the way. And the Eagles certainly want to end this conference championship mini drought that they've fallen into. Left-handed floater falls for Andrew Fox, who missed all of the 23-24 season with an injury, played 2 years at RIT, and the Pennsylvania native, the senior, has brought his team back to within a possession. Eagles certainly discombobulated here. They're playing Case Western Reserve's game. A slowed down physical affair. Jair Knight knocks home the bucket, puts himself on 11 points, and by the way, now Jair Knight passes Roman Williams into 6th place all-time on Emory's program scoring list. One great passed by another great here in Atlanta tonight. Faust falls into the cradle of Ellis. Ellis gives it off to Edwards. Edwards drives in, has it swatted away by Ethan. Faust is driving in. He's got a man on his back. Drives in, dishes, Knight winds up. Can't hit. That would have brought this building to their feet as we go careening past the 6-minute mark. Oh, wow, what a move by Ellis as he went hanging in the air. Matthew Ellis is up to 6 now, and he's had 2 really acrobatic type scores. 55-53. The entire nation now knows the Eagles are on upset alert. Harris, the rifleman, trying to shoot a hole in the upset bid of the Spartans. 5-point lead at 58-53. A.J. with 9 points tonight. 3 made threes. This is Ellis who draws contact and 3 free throws. Now that was a veteran move there by Matthew Ellis. He may just be a sophomore, but boy, he really leaned into that one and bought that call. And I don't mean that in a disparaging way, by the way. I mean that in a good way. I'm all about getting an edge as long as you don't break the rules in any way you can. And that's just part of the game. And he helped by that foul. That was a really great move there by Ellis. 85% this year from the free throw line, so he's basically automatic. Ellis had a highly decorated high school career at St. Ignatius in Ohio. Won a state title 2 years ago in 24. 3 regional titles, which is no joke in the Buckeye State. Ellis had 25 points versus Allegheny back on December 13th. And made 21 appearances off the bench as a freshman last season. 3-for-3 trip. 2-point game once again. No one's getting the 90 tonight. Faust. Ethan to 16 now on 6 of 16 from the field. Has 5 rebounds. Here's an errant 3 that's a little too strong by Patel. Eagles have it back. Uh-oh. Oh. Eagle backers here in the building just waiting for one of these long ones to go in to get them off their feet, get them on their feet. Uh-oh, look at this. Here comes Benny. He'll lay it up and in. Benjamin Pierce with the deuce. It's a 6-point lead at 62-56, and the Jet is on 10. 10 points on 4 of 11 shooting, 6 assists, 3 steals. Those 2 categories lead the club. He has 3 rebounds as well. Team high 35 minutes. And we told you in the opener, Case Western Reserve holds their opponents to 76 points per ball game. They don't just want to grind it out and slow it down. I don't mean to imply that, but they don't want to play to the high 80s, the low to mid 90s like the Eagles like to play. Of course, remember, Emory averages 93 points per ball game offensively, while Case Western Reserve averages just about 85 or so. What's the exact number here? 81 as a matter of fact. So Case has done a lot of the things that they wanted to do in this ball game here in Atlanta this evening to pull off the upset. Can they close it out, or will the Eagles find a way? Patel hits a 3. Shyam Patel hits a 3. Remember, 79% of his shots come from beyond the arc, and the Texan has brought his team back to within 62-59. Long rebound to Harris. Jair gonna drive in and lay it up just a little too strong. Oh my. Big guy gonna go in. 5 on the shot clock, baby hook no good. Faust had the rebound, had it ripped away, and we'll head back the other way. That's the under 4 timeout. We'll take the break with them at 3:22 remaining in the ball game. Hand-wringing and nervous faces in Atlanta in a 3-point game. Update in conference play. As I've mentioned a couple of times here tonight, Rochester notched their first win of UAA play in 2026. They take down the Tartans of Carnegie Mellon, now 2-2 in conference play, 96-82. Yellow Jackets over Tartans in the Empire State of New York. Meanwhile, Chicago is taking on Brandeis in the Midwest. Right now, the Maroons, the number 2 team in America, with 3 minutes remaining in the first half, with a dominant 30-16 lead on the Judges. The Violet Bobcats of NYU and WashU, the Bears, getting together tonight. It's a ball game where WashU needs a win in the worst way, as they sit at 1-2 in conference play. Of course, the Violets could stand to notch a win as well, no big surprise. We'll get you the score on that one coming up in just a moment. We're all at the mercy of technology. Knight, Faust, Pierce, work around Harris, a corner three. Side iron, no good. Owassum had the rebound and had it poked away. Every Eagle touched the basketball on that one. Now the broadcast feed for NYU and WashU not working as of right now. So I'll beg your pardon for not having a score. Oh, Owassum! Mario comes flying in to stuff one home and give the Eagles a 5-point lead. Listen to this place. Offensive board, another one. Been the story all night, especially in this second half, as the Spartans have gotten back into it. 3-point game. That'll put the big guy on 12, Alex Vincent. Wind up and hit. Ethan Faust knocks home the 3. 6-point ball game. 19 for Faust. That's the one they needed to get the crowd back in it. Lost the possession. Turnover under 2 minutes. And a big one. Knight made the catch, muscles up, and gets free throws. Washington University and NYU at the half in St. Louis. And right now the Bears with a skinny little 40-36 lead on NYU. If the Bears lose that one, folks, we'll have a long, long way to go in conference play. But I'm going to tell you right now, if the Bears lose that one, gosh, I'm not sure they get back in the conference championship race. Jair knocks home the first. That would be a massive development, certainly for us and Chicago moving forward in the race for the conference crown. Jair Knight looks for point number 13. Back iron, no good. 7-point ball game, 1:40 remaining. Edwards. Over to Ellis. Ethan, a 3. Back iron and no good. Big rebound in the air. Pulled away by Patel. He'll put it up and in. Shyam Patel with the put back up and in. Quick timeout called by Todd McGinnis and his crew. He has 1 timeout remaining for the final 97. No, I beg your pardon. 87 seconds of this affair at 1:27 remaining. Fouls not an issue as of now. Both teams have only committed 4. They just now have updated the scoreboard, by the way. I spoke too soon. Case Western Reserve is out of timeouts now the rest of the way. Eagles still have 3, so that's not an issue. Well, what a Friday night across the conference. Those of us that love the University Athletic Association sees WashU struggling with NYU, sees Carnegie Mellon take a devastating second loss in conference play. Chicago hammering Brandeis nearing the half in the Windy City. And the Eagles getting everything they can handle from the Spartans of Case Western Reserve University. Spartans have outscored the Eagles in second half play +6, 39-33 to get back in it. But now that lofty, gaudy, high-level shooting percentage in second half play for the Spartans has dropped all the way back down to 38%. Oh. Meanwhile, the Eagles have started to really can their jumpers. They're up to 41%. Both Edwards and Pierce shaken up after that one. Much like a baseball umpire will go dust off the plate to help the catcher or a batter, the official on the near end calling himself a little personal timeout to tie his shoe and get the court cleaned up as well. Some good sportsmanship there. Let both men kind of recalibrate. Harris to key it in. Patel, the man on top of him. Knight makes the catch. Double team coming on him. Ball still loose. Harris makes it. The pickup. Gives off to Pierce. Benny going to wisely slow it down. 20 on the shot clock. 1:15 in the game. Eagles trying to survive the upset bid by the Spartans. On the shot clock. The Jet. Benjamin on baseline. Kick out to Faust. Ethan gonna take it. Short-armed it. Put back up and in. Put back up and in. A.J. Harris knocks it home. It's a 7-point game with 55 seconds remaining. 11 for the Riflemen. Edwards just forces one up trying to buy a foul call. It's ripped out of the hands of Faust. The ball fell right into his mitts. They're gonna call a kicked ball on. Yeah, they'll say that Faust on his way down kicked it. That's about as inadvertent as you'll ever find of a kick ball. Don't forget, the Emory ladies are coming up next. When we have these doubleheaders in conference play now, these post-game shows that I do will be abbreviated for sure. We'll hammer through some of the numbers and remind you when we'll get together next. We're going to have ourselves another little break. It's going to be a couple of weekends before we speak again. But remember, you and I will spend a great deal of time together in the final weekends of conference play as the conference schedule is backloaded. Edwards can't get the friendly roll. We've got a whistle. And they'll call the offensive foul. I missed it, I must admit. So the Eagles have it with 39.2 remaining, up by 7. Knight, trapped, gets out of it, heaves it down the court, and finally the foul call comes. It was a bit delayed, to our benefit, of course. Let's get you one more scoring update. Again, Rochester with the win over Carnegie Mellon today. That's a big one, a real big one. They're now at the half in Chicago, where the Maroons have banged down a last-second three, which they're going to review, but for now, it's a 15-point, 39-24 lead for the Maroons. Back iron on the free throw. Rebound pulled away by the big freshman. Here come the Spartans. Still got time. Oh, tapped away. Lost. The Jet will pull it out and run off a little more time. Benny at 20 and fouled. And now it's a whole lot closer than it was a moment ago. Fox hit with the foul, his first. That's the team's 8th. Benjamin. Point number 11. Yeah, 39-24, Chicago leads Brandeis at the half. Remember, you can visit UAAsports.info, UAAsports.info on the conference website to get updated on final scores from across the conference. So Rochester with a win over Carnegie Mellon. Brandeis with a 15-point lead at the break on, Chicago with a 15-point lead on Brandeis at the break. And meanwhile, WashU at home with a 40-36 lead on NYU at the halftime break. 9-point lead with 20 seconds remaining. Don't want to call all precincts quite yet. Ellis just going to drive in and go for a quick deuce, and it's sent away by Owassum. Defense has been the name of